Yo guys, Theo here on Common Sense. Today I'm gonna tell you how to get a jacked back. So I've been wanting to expand my training content that I do, because looking back, most of the content I've done that's been, training related, it's been more about the philosophy and principles you need to understand, like trying to steer you away from distractions, like avoid paralysis by analysis and turn your focus towards the right things, like focus on these things. And the actual training has been a bit of me reporting my training, which will be helpful, and I will be doing more of that, but also just a lot of beginner stuff, because I'm not a beginner now, but I went from 0 to 100. Like 4 years ago, I had barely been in a gym, and I also been thinking a lot about how would I do things if I started over. And I, of course, know a lot more now. But I am, if I might say so myself, I have reached some pretty decent results, and I am, of course, huge training nerd and pretty much have good knowledge and know what I'm doing. So I want to be able to help you take it to the next level as well. So I've been thinking that just starting a video series about how to train this muscle group, that's a good place to start. And so someone that follows me on Instagram, Stella, I think, asked about back training and said I should make a video about it. So perfect, that's where we start. And also I just trained back, so even more perfect. I actually skipped my sauna to be able to have time to record this video, so you're welcome. Something I want to talk about at first, because the same person who asked me to do this video brought up the term, in Swedish we say contact. It's basically mind-muscle connection, like a hard time getting that with the back. And I want to say that I should probably do a standalone video on that, but I think it's kind of overrated. Like, of course, you want to be able to feel the muscle you're working to a certain extent, but if you snare yourself blind on that, you can avoid a lot. Like some people that talk too much about contact, they take too low weights, baby weights, and they feel the burn, but maybe they're just endurance training their muscle, they're not, there's not enough mechanical tension from weight. So there's a balance between weight and mind-muscle connection, and just know that some motions, it's literally impossible that you do them without using the muscle in mind, and some muscles are just harder to feel than others, especially back muscles. For one, just because you can't see them working, they're back there. But also they're just tough muscles, like my lats, for instance. I don't feel them much. I felt them when I was a complete beginner, but I don't feel them all that much, but I know the function of the lats, right? And it's key in general with training, but especially with the back, since you can't see them again, it's important to be able to have balanced training and hit every muscle with enough volume and all that, and train every muscle basically, and not have any blind spots. It's important to understand the functions of the muscles. So we're gonna, so in this video, there's of course many different splits and workout programs and stuff. So I'm not gonna tell you do these many exercises, sets and reps and stuff, because it depends so much. If you train full body, you might just do 2 back exercises per workout. If you have an upper-lower split, you might do 3. If you do push-pull legs like I'm currently doing, you might be able to have more in one workout. So you see, I'm just going to tell you about the functions of the muscles and how to hit them with which exercises, so that you can incorporate it into your own training. So what I think is the biggest problem with most people's back training is that they don't know the functions of the muscles. They just kind of know that back exercises are the ones you pull towards you. And that's true, of course, but depending on the angle and how you pull, you're going to use different muscles. So basically, the easiest way to divide in the back is lower back, like the spinal erectors at your lower back. Then we have the lats, which are responsible for the width, and we're talking aesthetics. And then we have the upper back, where we also kind of want to include rear delts, the back of the shoulder, because the shoulder, I can do a video on how to train shoulders too, for instance, but you're better, if you do upper body workout, what I say is, if you do the bench press, for instance, so you think I'm training chest, you're gonna use a lot of front shoulder, and if you do pulling exercises, some of them you're gonna use a lot of the back, the rear delt. So it just makes sense to train the rear delt with the back, right? So yes, that's how you divide in the muscles. And think of it like this. If you come to lower back later, but if you pull the lats they pull the arm in towards you, like not just geographically, like the arm comes closer to you like this, but actually in. So you could train it from this angle, but you could also train it from this angle. It's still the lats. It moves the upper arm in towards you. The other upper back muscles, like the traps, rhomboids, rear delts, they are more responsible for pulling your like shoulder blades together. So it's when we want to hit the upper back. If I want to hit like upper back and rear delts, I want to do something where I pull with my elbows way flared out like this. And there are certain exercises, like a bent over row, for instance, with this pronated grip, where you've got to be where in between. And the answer is very simple. It's kind of split up. Yeah, you are using your lats, but you are also using your upper back. What could be said is you might want to have one exercise. If we're not just talking being close and far out, you might want to have one where you're somewhere in the middle, because the rhomboids, they go like this, and they're located beneath the traps on the upper back, and so it might just be a slightly better angle for the rhomboids. But so if we start with the lats. Again, they pull the arm in towards you. So it's usually something with a closer grip, but it could also be something where you're pulling from there. If you've seen some people do within the double cable, they might sit with, on their knees and pull like this. That's gonna hit the lats. But my favorite exercise, if we go with like a compound exercise, is the weighted chin-up or pull-up. And of course you start out without weight, maybe. So the difference between the chin-up and the pull-up, in Sweden, it's been reversed for some reason, that everyone's like, I'm gonna do chins, and then they go do this. But if you watch YouTube, if you watch any like study or competition, this is a pull-up, this is a chin-up. And you might be able to tell what the difference is. The chin-up, so this is a thing too. When you do multi-joint exercises like this, even if I'm I'm looking to target my lats with big exercises, I'm not gonna be able to just use the lats. That's impossible. So just to be honest, just getting really strong weighted chin-ups and pull-ups, you're gonna have a jacked back for sure. But so the chin-up will preferentially target the lats more, because you come a bit closer to your body like that, and the pull-up will spread it out a bit more, hit more upper back. But if you get really strong there, you're gonna get great lats and some other back development too. The upper traps might not get as much attention there. And so the lats, so one way people divide, which makes sense to a certain extent, but with horizontal and vertical pulling, but I could do some kind of, people think more that pulling from above you is more lats and this is more upper back. But it depends on how you do it, because I could do, if I say that I do a lat pull down, but I do it behind me, and I have kind of flared, spit flew out, flared elbows, I'm gonna hit a lot of upper back. And if I do a seated row here with a narrow grip and focus on pulling close to me, I'm gonna hit a lot of lats. So you see, it's not as cut and dry, and that's why you need to understand what the muscles do. But so the lats, they are kind of triangular shaped, so they get a good stretch here, but not a full stretch, and especially not here. But the true stretch position is somewhere here. And so there's one exercise I love as like a secondary exercise. You have to think about it that way too, always, like compounds and then more and more like isolated, like smaller exercise. And it makes sense to organize your workouts like that. You do the big, so after the weighted chin-up, for instance, I might do something like unilateral cable row. And you can do this standing in like a lunge position, but I like to sit on a bench. You can use the other arm for support, and then you pull from a high angle, so you get that, not straight in front of you, not right above you, but it's like slightly, almost 45-degree angle. And you can then stretch out the lats big time and pull in. And look, you want to pull close. Again, you might even want to turn your body a little bit, because the lats don't pull just towards you, but in. So if I was sitting here and pulling like this, I'm going to hit much more upper back. So I want to hit close to be like that. And then if we're talking isolations, there's one that's pretty tricky, to be honest, to get right. It has many names, but you have the pullover with a dumbbell. So if you're lying on a bench and just moving the dumbbell up here, well, that's good for a good stretch. But the thing is, from here you would be doing nothing, like if you're laying on your back, right? So it's not, the range of motion isn't great, but then you have the cable equivalence. You could do it with a rope or with a straight bar, but when you pull in towards you like this, and this is isolated because you can see the biceps often, like in a chin-up, works together with the back in general, but with the lats. And this is a chance to, actually would be some triceps, the long head of the triceps will actually be involved instead. But it's an opportunity to train the lats without the contribution of the biceps. But it's really hard to get down, to be honest. There's a great machine, pullover machines, where you say there's like a rail like this and you just put your arms and pull like that. It's great, but it's just one random gym I was in once had it. It's an unusual machine, but that's great. But so, yeah, those are some good examples of good lat exercises, but as long as you know that this is what it does. So if we're talking more about the upper back and rear delts, my favorite exercise for this, we want to come out with flared elbows. And so my favorite exercise for this is the wide grip or snatch grip seal row. So you could do the seal row as more of a lat exercise, like pulling with a narrow grip, pulling like that when you're laying on the bench facing down. But I like to do it, well, I like that version too, but in my programming right now, I've done wider grip and pull, and I actively try, like now, depending on what the clip you show, I have a kind of a homemade setup where it would actually be impossible to do the close grip one. But if it's a bench where you want to think about you want to actually pull it straight then, like that, as straight of a line as possible. And just a great exercise for upper back and rear delts, by the way. We have another version I like is in the seated row. It's again, you have to just think about the position of the whole thing. So the seated row, I like to do, I call it a special version. It's a special edition if any of my clients are watching and they recognize it from the program. But so there's one version I do when you just sit in the seated row and kind of slightly lean forward, and then instead of, if I told you to do that and just pull towards you, you would be pulling here because you're stronger, but it's about what we want to hit, right? So I want you to pull high with your elbows out, like that. Another version of it I do is when I actually go back behind the bench on the seated row and sit so I can have a little bit of chest support here. And do the same basically. It also, because you then are lower, the cable is often on a better angle for you. And if you want to isolate more, I've never been a fan of the bent over reverse fly with dumbbells when you stand kind of like this, because it's very difficult to know what weight to use. Like you will feel like you're swinging them always a bit and like, okay, I could swing these. But when I went up in weight, it was fine, but I don't know if it's difficult. So what I like, my favorite for this is the reverse fly with cables. But I like it for many reasons. Again, because it's just a more constant resistance than dumbbells that are always going to be heaviest up here and almost nothing down here, But also the rear delt, of course, it stretches longer than this. If you want to get a long range of motion, it goes all the way over like this. So what I like, you can have two cables and pull like that. Great rear delt mainly, but it's going to hit other upper back muscles as well. So we're talking about the upper back again, and we kind of include the whole traps. They go, there's kind of a kite-shaped muscle, and they have muscle fibers that goes in different directions, but most of it will be hit from this. It's just the upper traps is kind of, it depends on the angle, like when you do something like a bent over row, that's, by the way, that's like a compound for the back in the sense that with this grip especially, like this, it will probably hit a bit more lats if you have this grip because you come a little closer to the body, but it's really like, that's more of a like overall back developer. It's even the spinal erectors that are working isometrically to keep you up. And then you're pulling like that. But if you think of the angle, it's just that you don't think about it, but you're definitely gonna do this too. So you see the traps, they are all one muscle, it's just that the fibers go in kind of different directions. And so the traps, I should have said this at the start of the video because I'm talking more about what should be included in your training overall. It's not that you have to do all of this in the same workout necessarily. Like the upper traps, for instance, mine, I built exclusively almost with regular deadlifts and Romanian deadlifts. That deadlifts, you could do them on the leg day, but you could do them on the back day too. Nothing is wrong, it depends on your programming, but you're still hitting the upper traps, right? And it makes, maybe it doesn't make sense, like, because you're thinking of deadlift, you never pull up like this. But weighted stretch has a good hypertrophic benefit in and of itself, and also you're probably using your traps isometrically, just to not be all the way over here. Maybe you can't, the weight you're deadlifting, you can't pull up like this, but you're still pulling in that direction. So the upper traps are going to do a lot there. I've actually just added in some shrugs, because I can't really deadlift or Romanian deadlift right now, but I don't think it's necessary for most if you do these compounds to get strong at them. But I like the trap bar shrug because of the angle of the handles. Basically, do it like that. And so, I guess we covered the lats and the upper back for the most part. Well, the lower back is kind of the same, like with the upper traps. At the lower back, to be honest, most people don't have to think about training the lower back so much, as long as you're doing a good variety. Because if you think about it, like in the seal row, one reason I like the seal row is actually to eliminate some lower back involvement. For someone like me, I have kind of a lot of anterior pelvic tilt. My lower back is going to be kind of over involved. Like, I've done nothing isolated on my lower back for a long time, and if you saw the pictures of my back, it's still, I had a Christmas tree going. So to be honest, for a lot of people, the lower back, because if you do a shoulder press on your push day, you use your lower back to some extent. And if you do squats on your leg day, deadlifts obviously use the lower back. You want that a lot, but in the squat, when you're trying to train the legs, it's going to be a lot of lower back. So to be honest, you have to be honest with yourself. The lower back is going to be involved in so many exercises, just isometrically, just keeping you upright, not without moving through a range of motion, but you can build muscle through isometric loading or whatever. Just exerting a lot of force through the muscle. It's just that the muscle isn't actually moving, it's just keeping that part of the body stable while something else is moving. So most people don't really have to train the lower back if you do things like squats, deadlifts, and like bent over rows, and like even a seated row. Think about it. Of course, if you didn't use your lower back at all, you'll be all back here, and some people use their lower back too much on a seated row. They sit and be all like this, like it's one thing to get a good stretch on the lats, try to get a good stretch here and just move forward a little bit, but this whole thing, that's like, okay, if you are someone that rows, like actually the sport of rowing, or if you want to train the lower back a lot, but so when it makes sense, if it is a weak point for someone, or if you for some reason are doing these compounds like deadlifts and squats, and you want to train, like target the lower back a little more, like the best alternatives is just a good old hyperextension, like 45 or 90 degree. Like most gyms I've been to don't have the 90 degree, but a 45 one. So, if this is your body, because I probably don't have a clip of this, the hyperextension is here. This is your legs, this is your upper body, and you kind of just fold over like that. And you can load it in many different ways. It depends on how far down, how much space you have down, but you could hold a plate like this, you could put a bar up here, even do it like that. It's called a Louis hyperextension or something, Louis extension from the Olympic weightlifter. I had to raise mine up when I actually did it recently, just to try it. Had to put it on like a step, what are they called? Step boxes, those little things. So I could hold a barbell like that. But that's like all you need to train the lower back by itself. And so then for someone who isn't doing compounds where it gets hit, or just feel that it's a weakness, that would be an option. Or someone who's like a power lifter and like actually want to strengthen the lower back a lot for those big compound lifts. So I think we got it all. That's how to get a jacked back, really. So please let me know, guys, what did you think about the video? Any questions about training your back, please keep that coming. Which muscle group would you like me to talk you through next? Please let me know. And any other training content that you'd like me to do, well, please let me know. It's very, very helpful. I'm bringing up this cliche again, but it helps me help you. So yeah, comment and like. All comments and likes help support the channel, so it's very much appreciated. And please subscribe for more content about fitness, fasting, building muscle, losing weight, uncommon sense takes on a wide variety of subjects. Okay guys, I will see you later. Peace.